The machines are big, they are powerful, and by NVIDIA's own admission, they run hot. The problem occurs when they are connected together in a customized server rack. Now, look, this is serious business, these server racks, the type of story I'd love to get a response to you about. But when I tried to get a response from NVIDIA, I got, listen, Jim, we're in quiet period. We can't help you. So this really noisy, not great story comes out. I try to find out what's going on, and I can't. That means I have no idea if there's something that could delay large-scale implementation of Blackwell. That's their latest and greatest chip. Perhaps it'll be delayed until January, when management on record saying that the new product line could be humming. Maybe there's a problem beyond that. Or perhaps there's no real issue at all.
Jim Cramer discusses Nvidia's current situation ahead of its earnings report, highlighting uncertainty around the Blackwell graphics unit due to conflicting reports. The information claimed there were delays, but Nvidia's partner Dell contradicted this by announcing shipments. Cramer cautions investors not to overreact to rumors, emphasizing Nvidia's long-term strength despite short-term challenges. He believes Nvidia remains a top performer with few competitors in the market. Cramer also mentions that global demand for Nvidia's Blackwell chips remains strong, with companies like SoftBank securing early shipments. He sees this partnership as a move to diversify Nvidia's customer base beyond the US. Cramer concludes that, despite questions over AI demand, Nvidia is well-positioned to remain a key player in the tech and AI sectors.
Let's talk about what happened to the world's largest chip maker. Let's talk about Nvidia, which reports on Wednesday. Now, Nvidia is normally pretty open about its business, but like all companies, it has what's known as a quiet period that starts 4 weeks before the company reports its earnings. If there's something that very much impacts the earnings, management is not supposed to answer any questions about it during the quiet period, even if it knows the answer. It is always respectful of it, and you need to know that. Now, Nvidia reports this week, so it's in the final days of its quiet period. That means any news disseminated this week that could impact the company would put Nvidia squarely behind the 8 ball. Everyone knows that you can really throw off any company and its shareholders by injecting uncertainty. Sure enough, this weekend, a publication called The Information said that Nvidia is grappling with what it called, quote, new problems related to its much-anticipated Blackwell graphics unit for artificial intelligence, end quote.
Sure. Tech giants and AI startups are all hungrily awaiting Nvidia's new Blackwell chip. We found out overnight that Japanese tech firm SoftBank will be the first to get their hands on them. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang announcing that at an AI summit in Japan. Let's turn to Deirdre Bosa for what brings us to this point in that relationship for today's Tech Check. Deirdre?
Who else but Masa-san, Kelly? Everything about this announcement was very on brand for Masayoshi-san, basically telling the world that he and SoftBank are going to be key players in the Gen AI shift, or at least make a very big run for it. For Nvidia, though, it does raise a question. If demand for Blackwell is insane, as Jensen Huang has said, then why put Masa-san at the front of the line instead of an OpenAI or Google or a company at the forefront of LLM advancements? A source tells me that it was simple. SoftBank's order was early and it was big. It also comes just as the debate is heating up over whether AI advancements have peaked. That's a big deal with SoftBank. Could also let Huang and Nvidia diversify away from its large U.S. customers to new opportunities in sovereigns like Japan. Now, overnight in Tokyo, Huang praised Masa-san as the only entrepreneur and innovator in the world that has selected or partnered with the tech winner in every generation, from Bill Gates to Jerry Yang to Jack Ma. He was even the largest shareholder of Nvidia at one point, leading to this moment.
Many of you probably don't know this, but at one point, Masa was the largest shareholder of Nvidia. Yes. Oh. It's okay. We can cry together.
Because the key company that installs Nvidia's chips, known as Dell, announced today in a tweet, quote, the first in the world NVIDIA GB, the Grace Blackwell 200 NVL72 server racks are now shipping. The server racks that we were told weren't shipping. As Michael Dell went on in this tweet, quote, we are thrilled to deliver our liquid-cooled PowerEdge XE9712 to CoreWeave. The AI rocket just got a massive boost, end quote. CoreWeave is a new cloud computing provider that's been a voracious user of NVIDIA chips. Of course, The Information updated their piece with that info, which pretty much called the whole exercise that The Information had issued into question. Oh, boy, was the damage ever done? So then the question becomes, who's telling the truth here? The Information, which says there are real issues involving delays, or Michael Dell, who's telling you there is no delay? Here it is. I have known Michael Dell for years. He has not impressed me as anything other than a scrupulous business person ever since Dell came public for the first time in 1988. The Information? I first chronicled their activities back on August 2nd, just when they broke the story that Blackwell was running late. Funny, when I called NVIDIA back then about the Information story of Blackwell back then, the company had just entered quiet period, so they weren't allowed to talk to me. Sensing a pattern here? Quiet period, quiet period. Just like this quiet period, I could only sit on my hands and let the negative story wash over me. Funny, when that story broke, the stock was at 107. 5 days later, it was at 98. With NVIDIA back up to 149 earlier this month, you left a huge amount of money on the table if you took your cue from the Information's information. Now, I'm not guaranteeing a good quarter from NVIDIA Wednesday at all. Far from it. I've been watchfully waiting for full Blackwell shipments, even as the company's been saying for months that these chips wouldn't start shipping in volume until January. I was thinking maybe they were practicing underperform and over-deliver. Now, I don't know. In fact, I could argue that the Information news isn't news at all, though. The machines are complicated. They run real hot. I said that when I interviewed Dover CEO Rich Tobin here on Friday. Dover makes some of the equipment that keeps these data centers cool, liquid cooling. Before Blackwell, there were chips that could be cooled by air. Tobin says it's possible one day that Dover's cryogenic solution might be needed to put into play. Could happen. Why do I go into all these details? Well, there are several reasons. One is that NVIDIA stock is arguably the greatest of all time. It's had a concentrated burst of strength that's almost unprecedented. This thing is no warhorse. You know what it is? It's a sprinter and a workhorse at the same time. It's Secretariat, a marvel of a horse that won the Belmont Stakes by an astronomical 31 lengths in 1973, a record that I don't think will ever be broken, just like NVIDIA. Second, I meet NVIDIA millionaires who thank me wherever I go, and I go to quite a few places. These people typically tell me how many times they've been freaked out or told to freak out by people who should have known better. And because I said, own it, don't trade it, they stayed the course. Many of these people bought this stock because I renamed my rescue mutt, NVIDIA, back on June 20th in 2017, in a desperate gambit for you to understand that this was a big, big stock. Everest was rechristened on a day when the stock traded at $3.88. The stock's now at $140. In that time, I've realized that we've all become way too trading-oriented around here. Now, we're in NVIDIA at the beginning of August of this year at 107 when the devastating Information story broke about the delay, the one that NVIDIA couldn't respond to, a hopeless piñata reviled by the short sellers and allegedly by the customers, although I couldn't find a single one who was truly aggrieved. Given the newfound trading proclivity, I have to wonder how many people had the armor of the dog NVIDIA and how many had it wear off. If it wore off, you forgot the amazing thing about NVIDIA, which is that it has really no competitors. Now, here we go again. Maybe NVIDIA mentions the Information delay story on Wednesday conference call. Maybe we'll mention Michael Dell's shipment of Iraq Blackwell, suggesting, I think it suggests that they'll still have the opportunity to ship these chips in volume in January, which is what I've been led to expect. However, the trading obsession might have shaken you out today, especially because you couldn't hear a response from NVIDIA because the Information did the story during the quiet period. But let me ask you, what if Blackwell really is delayed until January? Will that mean big wins for the people who paid beaucoup bucks to buy competitor AMD up for today? We own AMD for our charitable trust, like it very much. We own it right along with NVIDIA, and we know it doesn't have product that's as good as Blackwell. If I weren't so against trading, I guess maybe I would have sold AMD up 5 and then buy it back lower when the erroneous data is washed out of the stock. I didn't do that. I don't play that game. Maybe you think NVIDIA's customers are all hopping mad and willing to hold back money. That would be wrong, too. They have nowhere else to go for this kind of chip. So what then is this story about from the Information? Is it much ado about nothing? Well, not if you work at the Information. The The information's job is to sell subscriptions. It's a noble goal. I did it for years. This story likely did that in spades for them, and Nvidia actually reports a shortfall. The new subscription will be endless. After all, if Jensen Huang starts out by saying, you know what, we blew it, the servers can't handle the heat, and Colette Kress, the CFO, quantifies all that business's loss and all the upset clients, then the information may have gotten a huge scoop. Maybe this time really is the top, and it's all because of the server meltdowns. But the bottom line, I actually am more inclined to think that you're getting a buying opportunity in Nvidia thanks to the information publishing a story that may simply not be that, unless you didn't know all that much and you parted with Nvidia as soon as the news came.
In conclusion, Jim Cramer discusses the uncertainty surrounding Nvidia's Blackwell chip production and its upcoming earnings report. While reports suggest potential delays, Cramer emphasizes Nvidia's dominant position in the AI chip market and strong demand for its products, urging investors not to overreact to short-term concerns. He believes Nvidia's long-term growth remains strong despite temporary setback. Cramer challenges viewers to consider whether short-term issues will affect Nvidia's future success and how its role in the AI market will evolve over the coming years.